everybody. I'm answering questions today about narcissistic abuse recovery. I see that the title was a mess. I wasn't wearing my glasses when I typed it out. But today I'm answering questions about narcissistic abuse recovery because that's really what I focus on. So if you're here, say hello. And if you have a question about narcissistic abuse recovery, awareness, or anything like that, anything you're curious about, even my own story, let me know. And I would, I'm not taking requests to join at this time. So I will consider that for the future. But, if you have a question that you want to, ask me regarding narcissistic abuse recovery and awareness, let me know. And so I get a lot of the same questions. I'm just checking you guys' comments and stuff. So hello, thank you for saying hello. So I get a lot of the same questions over and over and over. But sometimes I just wonder if other people are thinking about other questions. So the questions I often get asked are, how did you know he was a narcissist? Okay, so hi. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, so let me answer the question that I'll go back. So I didn't know he was a narcissist until after our divorce. So there's a real thing that happens called delayed realization that you don't even realize. When you are in abuse, which I was in psychological, emotional abuse, you are in such a brain fog that you're almost being like in self-preservation protection mode. And so you don't even know it's happening. Did I know there were problems? Yes, obviously. That's why we decided to get a divorce. Well, I was the one who finally said it. You can read my book or even listen to my first episode to hear about how that happened. But it didn't happen till after, because I started to unravel and unpack things as I was healing. And when you are out of abuse and you start healing, when you're on your own, you're doing therapy, maybe you're going for walks, you're just crying and sleeping, which is such a common thing, that the sleeping thing was so common. Your body wants to rest. So I did a lot of that. And what was happening was I was like thinking of things. My brain would remember something. And I started to piece it together. And then I found out a few months after that he was seeing somebody that I suspected he had been seeing during our marriage. And so when that happened, it sort of put all the puzzle pieces together immediately. And I was like, oh my God, he's a narcissist. So I didn't even really know what that was, but I had started seeing things. And I saw Jimmy on Relationships. If you don't follow him, he's amazing. And he talks about narcissistic abuse. And I saw one of his videos and I was like, this is it. This explains everything. And so that happened with delayed realization. And so that's why now I preach awareness, because I didn't see it. And if I didn't see it, then there's other people who aren't seeing it either. So I'm going to ask this question that somebody posted. My husband wants a divorce. We are doing therapy. He said we can try again when I buy us an apartment. What can I do or say in therapy to help? So, I'm so sorry that you're going through that. I want you, the red flag for me is that he won't do something unless you do this thing. Okay, so the not taking accountability thing that to me is a red flag. And I'm not even talking about it's a red flag that he's a narcissist. I'm not even saying that. What I'm saying is that if someone is forcing you to do something, be a certain way, things like that, until they can treat you with respect or work on your marriage, things like that, that to me is a red flag. So in therapy, I would maybe bring it up and say, I want him to just want to work on our marriage without having for me to do something. My concern with that is if you do buy you guys an apartment, that feels really, I don't know. I'm not a professional and don't know your situation, but from that short a sentence, that sounds like a red flag to me. I wouldn't do it because and what's stopping him from trying right now? Why do you have to buy an apartment? Does that prove that you love him or something. You know, if you want to give some more information, you can, but is that what he's trying to get you to say? That it somehow proves that you love him? I don't know how many times my ex would say, yep, and actually just did a video on this yesterday. I have he has close to $2 million, but you have to buy the apartment. I'm sorry to laugh. Sorry. To me, it's a red flag. I would really talk about that in therapy. You would want to work on your marriage just on your own. So I did a video on this yesterday talking about how they sabotage situations. So they will talk out both sides of their mouth. If for any reason he's toxic in any way, going to therapy, he's going to unless it's a really good therapist who can see past toxic relationships, he might be using the therapist against you. So if he has that kind of money, why do you have to buy it? And if I were you, I would just, have separate money. This is the thing, is the minute that we lose our financial autonomy is when we can get into trouble. A lot of judges will say that. So, he feels it would prove I love him. Okay. Yeah. I mean, to me, that's really a sad thing. You proved you loved him by saying the words, I love you, and by getting married. So I'm sorry that he's doing that to you. I would definitely see a therapist separately, and not the same therapist, but maybe a different one, so that you can tell your story and you can kind of unpack what's going on and what you should do. This is how I feel. We don't beg for love, and we don't beg for trying to get people to understand us and to treat us with any basic decency. I remember the you have to prove yourself things. I totally remember those. And being punished for doing the wrong thing, having debt when he didn't know about it, things like that. But I don't agree with proving that means you love him. You got married and you say you love him, right? So that's proof enough. So anyway, I'm really sorry that you're going through that. That's really hard. Definitely I would go to therapy solo. I don't know your situation to know if therapy would help. I know that if he is toxic, marriage counseling is not recommended because he will use it against you and might use the therapist against you. So that's why I recommend going to therapy on your own so that you can unpack what you want and work on your self-esteem. That's what okay, great. I'm glad you are. I would work on, and don't tell him what you're doing in therapy. That's not his business. And so if you're being forced to tell him what you're doing in therapy, that's definitely coercion, and those are more red flags. I just want you to see that I don't want you to throw away your marriage, but I want you to ask yourself, if nothing changed today, are you okay living the way it is? Okay, so if he's not going to change, so just imagine he will never change. If nothing changed, could you live like this for the rest of your life? And that's a good question to ask yourself for a lot of things, for friendships, for anything, because we can't control anybody else. He can't control you and you can't control him. You guys have to want to work on yourself and then work on your marriage together. But working on your marriage does not mean him giving you some demands that if you don't do this, then we can't work on our marriage. That's not working on your marriage. You had one session with your ex-partner and the therapist said not to bring him again. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Yeah. I wish I would have had those therapists. I never had those, and I had some good therapists on my own, but I never could take them to marriage counseling where it helped at all. Even when it was about other women, and I had concerns, oh my gosh, it was like I had to somehow give a justification why it was wrong for him to be so close with other women. And I wouldn't put up with that anymore. Now I'm 57 And I would never put up with it anymore, especially since the last one I had an issue with, he's now married to. I voiced my concerns, red flag. And he's like, no, there's nothing going on. Well, they're married now, so it's like, I don't believe it anymore, but I love myself more now. So that's the biggest thing. That's what I really try to teach women, because I speak to women in midlife. I try to teach women, you have to love yourself enough that you don't put up with this kind of garbage. It's therapists that are learning with supervising therapists. And that's fine, except that this is what I would ask. If you go on your own, I would ask them, tell me what you know about toxic relationships and how they are, how it would affect me or something like that. I don't know. I don't want to use the word narcissist because some people get a little hung up on that word. It's the behaviors I talk about. It's not the diagnosis. Who cares about the diagnosis? You think they're narcissists are going anywhere near a diagnosis? They are not. So don't worry. Don't worry about that. It doesn't matter if somebody's learning. That's okay. But it's mostly about that's a toxic behavior. If you are being forced to do something before he can love you or it proves that you love him or that you can work on your marriage, you can't work. I'm not working on our marriage until you do that. That to me is crap, and I lived it for so long. Imagine these words rather than what you told me earlier. Imagine this. Imagine he said to you, if you don't lose 25 pounds, I'm not working on our marriage. It's the same thing. That might make you feel icky. So why doesn't the other thing make you feel icky? Give you the ick, right? So that's just something to consider. I know there's probably questions you can find on Google. I should put some of those on my website, but some questions like, what are good questions to ask my therapist? Look, even go into ChatGPT, the free version, and just say, is this toxic? And write out what you asked me. See what ChatGPT says. Because they might say it's toxic. So thank you so much for being here, you guys. I appreciate it. If you guys have a question, put it at the bottom. Just thought I'd come on and say hello. I got dressed today, so I thought I'd come on while I was looking decent. So the other question I get asked is, how did I know he was a narcissist? And then also I get asked, how did you decide to leave? And so I took a long time. I didn't stay 33 years for fun. So I decided to leave when he actually approached me. So the last couple of years of our marriage was actually during the pandemic, and it was horrible, and our marriage was on life support, and I hated every second of it. And he just stopped talking to me and things like that. But that wasn't enough, because I really was like, I know I can change him and love him enough and do all the right things. And then one day he'll just understand me and things will be better. Because, see, that's part of how we've been societalized as women, is we've been societalized that if we do the right things and really put ourselves second or even last, then everything will be fine. So I did that for all my life, really putting everybody else first, and then just not worrying about myself. And all that did was really lower my self-esteem. And then spending 32 years married to him, and so around year 30, it was getting bad. And so right before our 32nd anniversary, he said, if this is the way our life is going to be, you should tell me that you're done. And I said, why do I have to tell you I'm done? And that is called the reverse discard. They're forcing your hand. And so what happened then was he said, do you think we could work it out, or something like that? And I can't believe he said that. Okay. Cause I'm pretty sure he had a girlfriend at this point. I can't believe he said that. And I also can't believe I said, well, I wonder if I explain this bit to you, we could maybe work it out. But halfway through that sentence, I stopped because I couldn't waste one more breath on him. And I said, you know what, I'm done. And I stood up and left the room. And he actually had the nerve a couple days later, because I wouldn't talk to him for a couple of days. He actually had the nerve to say, were you serious about getting divorced? Yes. So now you become the bad guy. But I have to say that I'm okay with that. I'm okay that I'm the villain in his story. I'm totally okay with that. And you have to get to that point where you're okay with what they're saying behind the scenes. He had already been saying that he was in a terrible marriage. So this just helped the story, the narrative along. Laura asked me for a divorce. Oh, woe is me. And so that's what he told everybody. And I suspected that, but I couldn't prove it. But then my grown kids told me that's what he did. Oh my gosh. We stayed under the same roof while we were divorcing. But I'll tell you the positive side of that. Nevada is 50-50. No fault. Get your no fault divorces while they're still available. So Nevada is 50-50. We got divorced really super fast, like around 6 weeks. And that was only because we were trying to figure some stuff out. Nothing major, thank God. We didn't have grown children, but we did stay under the same roof. And I thought that would be hard. But at the end of that, I highly recommend that. If you are not in physical danger, I highly recommend it. And here's why. Every time he would open his stupid mouth, I would think to myself, this was the right decision. And there were even times when he was talking to me, telling me a story, and I would just put my hand up and go, oh, no, I don't want to hear that. And he'd be like, what's wrong with you? Why don't you want to hear my story? I go, oh, because I've never wanted to hear those stories about whatever he was telling me. But I always had to listen and pretend like I cared. But I don't care anymore. And I would get up and leave the room. Now, I was not in physical danger. So I didn't have any word. I could talk to him like that because I was not in any physical danger. So I always tell people, if you are not in physical danger, man, staying under the same roof was great. Because I was just like, yes, this was the right decision. It just solidified my decision. It was hard regardless. Look, I cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. It was hard. Divorce is always hard. And our kids were grown, and it was still hard on them because there was a lot of lies we unraveled. There was a lot of betrayal I unraveled. It's hard. It's hard to think back at your life. I think back, I spent 33 years with somebody who's been lying to me, probably from the beginning. I can look back. I know exactly when it started, and it's been the whole time. Makes me sad. And so that's why I work on this, why I do what I do, and why I work on teaching women to love themselves. I mean, everybody should be working on that, but that's who I talk to is women in midlife, just like me. And so loving yourself, what do you want? What are your hopes and dreams for the future? Because we get to midlife when we go, oh God, am I done? Is this it? And we're not done. And it's not it. There's more. I am not taking any video requests, so if you can put stuff in the comments, I'll try and read it. It says, my husband would play mind games with my kids to get a reaction of me. He had to leave. Does he still have good relationship with his kids? Okay, so yes, the playing mind games, yes. The gaslighting, all the kids would participate in the gaslighting. Since then, we have all had a lot of healing. My kids were like 29 and, I don't know, we have 3 kids, 29 and down when we got divorced, somewhere around there. And so they've all apologized. I've apologized for my part, especially like reactive abuse, because reactive abuse is a real thing where you are poked and prodded and pushed to the edge to the point where you start to act like the crazy one. You start yelling and screaming, which I always thought I was a yelly, screamy mom. Amazing how calm and not yelly, screamy I am and not angry. It's a very common thing. Reactive abuse or reactive rage, which is what I called it in the book. I like that better. Does he have a good relationship with the kids? He has a relationship with his grown kids. Does he have a good one? Number one, I don't know. I haven't spoken to him in about 2 years. The kids tell me a little bit, but they're not allowed to talk about their dad because I still, I think it'll be fine. Like they'll mention something about their dad and then I go to bed and my subconscious says, hey, do you feel like working on this and working it out? And all of a sudden I'm having a nightmare about it. Because it kind of worried me all those years of being gaslit. and the reactive abuse. I still get kind of triggered by that. My son went through the mind games, everything, but doesn't want to go to counseling. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I mean, I wish counseling was more normalized. There's nothing you can do other than just keep encouraging him in the good behavior. I'm so sorry. We can't force people to go to therapy. Man, this world would be so great if we could force people to go talk about their issues. Yeah, it's really hard. I don't. How old is he? So my kids, 2 of the 3 have gone to therapy. One of them, I talked to him. We unpacked some stuff, and if I felt like it was at a point where he has asked me, he's like, do you think I should go to therapy? At this point, I don't feel like he should, because I think he has a good handle on it. But it sucks, because not only, that's hard. 17 is so hard. Oh my gosh. He doesn't even have a full brain yet. That's something you might, I mean, if there's somebody that is a good male role model, maybe that person would talk to him. I don't know. How do you switch your brain to not focus on the good times only and remove the self-blame? Oh, well, so I definitely recommend making a shit list when your brain wants to go to the good times, because it's really toxic to tell a person, which I had people telling me this, think about all the good times that you had. And I'm like, I look at the pictures of us from Disneyland. We were fighting. I remember what he said to me before that and all those things. So it's hard to unravel because they're all woven together. So I really highly recommend you make a shit list. I actually have a Married to a Nice Guy journal on Amazon that if you go to the back, there's a shit list area, and you can make a list of all the terrible things, whatever they are. He lied, he cheated, he stole money from me, or whatever it is. So when your brain wants to go to the good times, which is not a terrible thing, except when we're trying to break the trauma bond, you have to separate, totally block, don't watch them on social media, all that stuff. It's like recovering off of a drug. You have to break it. You have to break that attachment. And when I would think of the good times, I'd be like, no, he was lying to me. Even when I was writing my book, I was like, oh my God, I was like writing a story and I'd go, he was lying. Oh my God, he was lying. I'm still remembering things. So making a shit list really helps you to break the trauma bond and not just sit there and ruminate about the good times or even about the bad times. You have to focus on yourself and your hopes and dreams. Okay? You really have to focus on your hopes and dreams. Oh, you know what? Talking to him and being supportive, that's always a good thing. So, of course, that's always a good thing. So, hi. Thank you for joining. It's so hard, but breaking that trauma bond is going to take, it's going to take that kind of thing where you focus on you and your hopes and dreams actively. Okay? That doesn't mean that you know what you want, what your hopes and dreams are for the future. It doesn't matter. You just have to start healing yourself, whatever that looks like. You can't ruminate on what did I do. You can only do that for so long. I know what I did in our marriage, but I also know the bad parts. I also know the good parts. I also know that I tried till the bitter end. And I've had to say, I'm okay with that. I did the best I could. Look, we only feel guilty because society has told us if we don't stay married, it's a failure. It's not a failure. It's a failure to stay somewhere where you are not loved and appreciated and maybe you're in abuse. That's the failure. Like you have to save yourself. Life is too short. We're not promised tomorrow. Life is too short. Yes. It says, I just got your book. It was so crazy to know you wrote it about someone else, but my ex did all those things. They're all the same. I swear to God. And this is why I love talking about it, because I noticed that the narcissist playbook is all the same. It's all exactly the same. And so that's why I talk about it and why I can say, okay, they do this and then they do this. You know, my kids, when he started dating somebody else, I said to my kids, I go, they'll be engaged at this point, and then they'll be married at this point. And they were like, no way, Mom, that's never going to happen. I was exactly right. Like, not even remotely right. I was exactly right. Why? Because he did it to me. Everything he's doing to the new one, he did to me. So I don't know a lot of things. I only know here and there from sometimes when my kids will tell me things. But like I said, I don't like to talk about it, her and their life, because it still gives me nightmares, because it's just, I'm unraveling while he's off living his life. That's okay. This is better. There's peace, and that's one of the things that I love about, and this making me think about a great idea of, like, you know, making a shit list is great, but man, making that list of the good things, like, there's peace right now in my home. There's peace. I got a bunch of stuff out. I have a plate in here for when I eat breakfast in bed, stuff like that. Nobody to yell at me that it's not in the dishwasher. Nobody to yell at me that I left the Amazon package sitting in the middle of the living room, stuff like that. So it's those things, the little wins. You got to grab onto those little wins, because when you add up the little wins, they equal a big win. We can't just wait and go like, hey, today it's great. I'm great and I'm dating or something. No, like, grab onto those little wins of, like, today I got out of bed. If you would have seen me yesterday, I did not look like this. I have not been doing great the last few days. I think seasonal depression and menopause, and I'm still recovering, has been bad. So I have learned that, like, if you can't take a shower, like, use a wet wipe or something like that. Well, my hair yesterday was greasy and dirty, and I haven't taken a shower in a few days, and I was in the same clothes. And I said to myself last night, I'm going to force myself to get in the shower, because today I went to lunch with some friends, and I'm going to force myself to get in the shower and like comb my hair, put on some makeup. You don't have to do all that. But it just made me feel good, and it was a little win for me to take a shower. Some days are like that. Or that I got out of bed and actually went to the living room. It's things like that. Grab onto the little wins. Not just the big wins. Don't wait for the big wins, because 1 + 1 is 2, right? Keep taking those steps forward. I appreciate you guys. So if you haven't been to my website, it is in my bio. I don't know if you can comment any words. You could comment something, probably like guest. I think the word guest will get you somewhere on my website, but I'm almost sure. I'm not sure if it'll activate it or not, but if you go to my website, I have tons of resources. All different episodes, not just of my podcast, but when I get interviewed on other people's podcasts, because I love that other people, they ask me so many questions, so many different questions, things like that. Okay, I'm trying to think of the other questions I get asked, and what I was asked on. I get asked a lot to, like, identify a narcissist, and I have to tell you that, again, it's not necessary. You don't need the narcissist label. What you need to know is the relationship you're in toxic? So the way you can know that is, a toxic person has no flexibility when trying to work on your relationship at all. They don't have flexibility. A healthy person that wants to work on your relationship will be able to compromise and have flexibility. And so that's how you look at what relationships are even good for you. What in friendships and in romantic relationships, what relationships are good? Do they have flexibility? Are they only, like, thinking of themselves, and are they blaming you for everything? That's a toxic person. Where a healthy person, non-toxic, a healthy person is going to have flexibility. They might talk back and forth with you about where you guys want to eat for dinner or things like that. And if you make a mistake, it's not held against you for the rest of your life, right? And you can, if, say for some reason, somebody, like my friend, hurts my feelings, I can talk to them and say, like, oh my gosh, well, you have to work on being Teflon so things don't really hurt your feelings all the time. But if somebody says something like, that was kind of rude what you said, it's definitely something to talk about and say to them, hey, that really bothered me when you did that. A healthy person will be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that I did that. I'm sorry, I'm not taking requests to be on video, but if you have any questions you want answered, you can definitely put it in the comments. And I think we'll spend a few more minutes and then I'll hit the road. Just wanted to come on and say hello and let you guys know that I'm here to answer questions. I have a few videos I recorded today that I'll be putting up in the next few days. If you ever have a question, feel free to put it in the comments of one of my videos or my posts. So that way you always see my stuff. Like now, you're on live. If you want to see me again, be sure to, say hello or leave some other comment, preferably nice. But again, I can't control you. So just those kinds of things. And so I appreciate you guys for supporting me in any way you can. Just by even coming on the live, I really appreciate you guys being here. Again, go to my website. I have tons of resources for you guys. I also have a free gift. I don't know if you guys know that. I have a free gift on there, ways to start your healing journey, that I always give away. So I appreciate you guys so much. I'll wait a couple more minutes to see if anybody else is asking a question, and then we'll hit the road. I hope everybody's having a good Saturday. It's actually nice here in Las Vegas, and I was going to go outside. Won't hold a mistake. Is that the same as holding the behavior against them, considering their behavior didn't change? Oh, yeah. Well, we can't, it's about accountability, right? So it's not about, I understand what you're trying to say. You're just trying to hold them accountable, right? You're trying to hold them accountable for their behavior. Say it was something like cheating. Yes, we want to hold them accountable because that behavior is not appropriate. I guess it's something like, sorry, my nose is running and then it's starting to itch. So I think about, like, say I made a mistake, like say I accidentally, I'm talking about stupid stuff. Like maybe I gave him the wrong channel or something. The game is on this channel, not that channel, whatever I said. It's really like that kind of thing. Well, you don't even know what channel things are on, and you shouldn't even do the TV. You shouldn't even touch the remote, things like that. I should be accountable for behavior. I think maybe what you're talking about is a little bit of the, is holding him accountable for his behavior. Possibly. Maybe that's what it's about. There's only so long you can hold somebody accountable for behavior that they don't want to be held accountable on. I don't know how many times I said to my ex, I don't like it when you are alone with this woman. Okay? Insert multiple women here. I don't like it when you're alone with them. I don't like it when you give them rides. I don't like whatever. And look, you can think whatever you want about it. So it doesn't matter what it's about. If you have an agreement with your spouse about something and they play dumb, I didn't know, you don't trust me, I'm so trustworthy, etc. If they don't want to be held accountable for their behavior, that's when it becomes a problem. Because I would say, I don't like it when you are alone with this woman. And then he would be alone with this woman, and I would find out, and he would be like, well, why don't you trust me? But that's not the point. When they blame you for even asking or calling them out on something rather than their behavior, that's manipulation. So I had said, I don't like it, and I don't want you doing it. And I think back, I'm like, why did I have that rule in our marriage? He wasn't trustworthy that way. But I just thought, I just was so broken and needing of love. And I just thought if I could explain myself a little bit better. But this is what you have to remember. You can't expect you from other people. Yeah, accountability. Um, right. Yes, you are sweeping things under the rug if you keep backing off. But I also want to continue to remind you, how long will you continue to live in a relationship where you have to hold a grown person, your grown partner, accountable for behavior that you have made clear? Okay, if you say, you cannot keep gambling our money away, and they keep gambling your money away, at what point do you say enough is enough for the sake of just being married? Remember the question I said earlier? If nothing changed today, are you okay living like this for the rest of your life? My ex-husband seems so devoted and wonderful, in love with me. He's actually living a double life for years. I'm so sorry. Oh, I don't know why it won't let me flip it up. Maybe comment one more time. I don't know why it won't flip up. He blindsided me and left for his mistress. Oh my gosh. Same girl. But I have to say thank you. Is this a tip? Yes, it's so the narcissist game. That's exactly it. Yes. This is the thing, when I think back, as have been doing healing. Hi, thank you so much for stopping by. As I've been doing healing for the last couple of years, I'm telling you, he's been lying to me from the beginning. For the 33 years we were together. Like, that breaks my heart. Because I can see it now. As your brain starts healing and you go, oh boy. Your brain goes, hey, remember this? And I'll be like, dang it, brain. But these are meant, okay, so now we take that information and we learn from it. So we don't do it again. I'm 57. I don't know if I probably will date somebody at some point. But right now, everybody's like, get away from me. This is the thing, is I know myself better now. I know myself enough to know that the love bombing and then the little, like those backhanded compliments and stuff like that, those things don't fly with me. Yes, 33 years. Let me tell you, I was very embarrassed about that. And especially since he left me for somebody else. But I don't want you to hold any of this. And I talked about this earlier, but you may not have been here. Did I? I have no idea. I don't remember, but I am putting out some videos later. How people treat us isn't always about us. Okay. If they leave us for somebody else, that doesn't mean something was, look, I know that nothing was wrong with me. I know that he's like a little boy who wanted his cake and to eat it too. And somebody posted a video or something and said, if they want that other woman, why don't they just leave? And I said, because isn't two women better than one woman? You know, they have this deep need to have their cake and eat it too. And look, I have two women. I got two women. And it's just disgusting. And then they'll be talking out the other side of their mouth going family values and things like that. Things you may be hearing from a house that is white. Yeah. So Ashley, I would really consider that. So I'm going to give my signature question. If nothing changed today, because he's not going to change, because we can't control anybody else. Only you can change yourself. If nothing changed today, are you okay living like that for the rest of your life? That one sentence right there. You can't force anybody to come to Jesus. I did that. I stayed and prayed for 25 years. You can't force anybody to come to Jesus. Because even if he came to Jesus, it might not be real. Okay? Because there's plenty of Christian narcissists. Plenty. So be very careful. There's people who can fake getting saved. So be careful with that. But if he's refusing to marry you, I don't know that I would want to tie myself down to someone to have to beg to marry me. There's somebody out there who loves you more than that. What is with the secret recordings? I know. Because this is a way to deflect accountability off of them. So if they are recording you, they're going to say, look at her, she's crazy. Because I had a lot of the what's it called? Reactive abuse, reactive rage, where he would mess with me to the point where I was screaming and yelling, and then everybody would go, see, mom's crazy. That was the theme. We're not that way anymore. So, or I'm not that way with my kids anymore. So it's great. but they do it to deflect off of them. So if they're secretly recording you, God forbid he's putting it on the internet or something, because I've heard stories about that too. Just be very careful with that. Why is he secretly recording you? Is he hiding something? Sorry. If you came to the wrong place if you don't want to hear like like the harsh truth. Oh my gosh. I left in July after he slapped my 2-year-old in the face. He says he wants to go to therapy now. No. Oh, I'm sorry. You're not asking me you're not asking me yes or no. But I say no. No. A person who slaps a 2-year-old in the face will probably kill you or your 2-year-old. That's just straight up the statistics. So I like to ask the really hard questions. Ask it like this. Go up to a stranger. Okay, you're asking, so I'm a stranger. Hey, just even say, my boyfriend slapped my 2-year-old in the face and now he wants to go to therapy so we can, work on our relationship. What do you think? Yeah, I bet you're probably going to get 100 no's and you might get one toxic yes. But, I think people want to use everyone deserves a second chance kind of thing, but the statistics are that he will escalate from there. Guaranteed. There's a podcast called Something Was Wrong. And the guy's name, what's his name? His name is Jake or something. They have so many seasons, but I want to say it was like the most current season. And yeah, he talks about this. It's really terrible. There's a lot of stories like that. So be really, really, really careful. You deserve better than that. So if you're even considering that, I would want you to run towards working on yourself. I am creating a program where I will be having a group and we're going to be working on that. We're going to be working on all those things. Yeah, I know he's ex-military and PTSD, but he's not on his medicine and won't comply. Okay, so write that sentence down. Okay, take a screenshot right now. Write it down and don't forget it. If he never changes, are you okay? If he has PTSD, when we leave abuse, we have chronic PTSD. We have to work on ourselves because it changes your brain chemistry. And if you're not working on yourself, you're not taking your meds, no, not even worth it. Not worth it, because if he slapped a 2-year-old, he could escalate. That's terrible. No, I'm sorry. No, run for your life. Please. Thank you so much, you guys. These were great questions. Really hard. I know they're so hard. But in the end, I want you guys to know that you are worth a love and a life that is full of joy and safety. It's okay to be alone. I don't look at my time alone here and say, I'm all alone. I am kind of introverted anyway, so I don't look at it and go, I'm all alone. No one loves me. Yes, probably somebody does, but that is not the ultimate prize. The ultimate prize is that I love myself. I am the love of my life. You are the love of your life. And if you don't believe that, that's the first place you should be healing. Thank you. Thank you so much, Alyssa. I appreciate you so much. I love the heart hands. Very Taylor Swift. I love those heart hands. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. If you see this video again, none of your questions will be on there. I'm so bummed. Of course. I think I'll do a few more. I'm also over on TikTok. I haven't gone live on TikTok yet, but I think I'll do that at some point too, because it's been fun to answer questions. Because sometimes the only time I can answer questions is when I'm on a podcast with somebody, not here. I hope to get out into the communities and speak to other, do like women's events and stuff where I can like have you guys around to be asking questions. But be on the lookout. I'm hoping to get this program done really soon that we can work on our self-esteem and setting healthy boundaries and dreaming for the future. I'm so excited to help you guys even more than I have been just with my podcast and my books. Thanks so much, you guys. And if you need any links, they're all in my bio, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Talk to you guys later.